Hi, my name is Sophia, and the STEM topic I'm going to be talking about is forensics, specifically forensic nursing, since that is the field I'm very passionate to get into. A big part of forensics is DNA evidence, and when we think of DNA evidence, we usually picture a lab with fancy machines and scientists in white coats. But what most people don't realize is that DNA evidence can be won or lost before it ever reaches a lab. DNA is basically the body's instruction manual, and it's inside almost every single cell we have in our body. In forensic cases, DNA often comes from skin cells. Even something as small as grabbing someone's wrist or touching a piece of clothing can leave behind something that is called touch DNA. Forensic nurses collect this DNA from places like skin, clothes, or under fingernails. And because we're dealing with such tiny amounts, knowing how cells work matters a lot. DNA is fragile. If extra DNA gets mixed in, such as from another person, the air, or even the person collecting it, that's contamination. And that's why forensic nurses wear gloves, masks, and use sterile tools. Things like heat, moisture, and bacteria can also damage DNA over time. On a chemical level, these conditions break down DNA strands, which is why evidence has to be stored and labeled very carefully because small mistakes on important evidence can completely change the outcome. Once the DNA gets to the lab, scientists use a process called PCR, also known as polymerase chain reaction. PCR takes tiny fragments of DNA and makes millions of copies of them. It works because DNA follows very specific chemical rules that enzymes can copy again and again. But even PCR has its limits. If the DNA wasn't collected or preserved correctly, there might not be enough usable material to analyze. Now, why does this science matter? Because DNA evidence can help identify suspects, rule out innocent people, and support survivors. But the strength of that evidence depends on science starting from the very first step. That's why the science behind DNA collection is so important in forensic nursing.